Hey, shower looks pretty good, bub.
Yeah. I don't ever want to touch another tile in my life, ever. That's it. I don't do showers. We don't do showers. So
But
that's the last one.
But you do. Look how good it looks.
Hey, I'm Eric Perkins. You're watching episode 20 of Building a House Start to Finish. And today we're actually going to build a tile shower start to finish. Tile showers have to look great, but they also have to be leak-proof. So there's a lot of prep work that goes on before the tile goes on that most people don't even know about. So let's rewind a few days back to just the framing. We'll show you all the steps we took to make this a beautiful and a functional shower that will be leak-free forever. Check the video description below for links to all the products we use in today's video.
Okay, if you're thinking about doing your own shower like this built in, there's a couple important things that make this way better. Put in some 2x blocking that comes up pretty far. This is 2x12 because your rubber liner needs to roll up and have something solid to tack against. Now, the rubber liner is going to be folded in the corners, and that makes a big bump in your tile sometimes. So what we do to avoid that is we hollow out an area with a bit here. I just used a regular paddle bit, and I sunk it in about 1/4. That way the buildup of 3 layers of this fold will be recessed and flush.
This is Andy. He used to actually work for us, but now he has his own business, and we're doing the first step to start making the shower pan. In this first step before the rubber liner, we're using a 4-to-1 mud bed mix on top of the concrete slab, which is actually just flat, and we're trying to get a slope towards the shower drain flange from the edges. Now we're ready to cut this 40 mil PVC pan liner to size and get it put in. Our shower measures 3 feet by 4 feet, so we're going to cut the liner 4 feet by 5 feet, a foot extra each way. After cutting the liner to size, Andy then folds in about 8 inches on each side of the liner so it will easily lay flat in the shower and he can center it up easily as well. We then do a quick check to make sure that the liner is going to lap up the walls enough in every direction. So right now Andy's locating the 4 bolts on the flange and making a little teeny X on each one to locate them. How you like cutting a hole in this liner? That's nerve-wracking. A little sketchy. Up next, the mat is folded back and these 4 bolts that hold the inner part of the flange down are pulled out. After a thorough cleaning, the bolts are reinserted through the top of the liner. These bolts will line up exactly with the bolt holes below, and the mat will still be perfectly centered in the shower, and that's the reason for doing it this way. The bolts are threaded through the liner into the lower part of the flange and left sticking up so that you can twist on the upper part of the flange before tightening it down. All right, you feel good about it?
Yeah.
All right, this is only one shot on this. Yeah, you want to pull that out of there. There we go. Nice work. Next, the liner is tucked into the corners and the excess material is folded into the recessed areas that Jamie made. It's very important that these folds are all up so that water can't run out. Next, the top of the liner is tacked with some roofing nails. All right, this might seem sketchy to put a nail in this stuff, but I want you to notice that the nail is above the runover point. So basically the water would be running out of the shower before it got to that height right there. That's important. Just like folding a sheet.
Cover it up.
Cover it up before you put a hole in it. Yep, very good, very smart. Hey, we got another brother duo here. Mr. Reed and Mr. Reed working on this shower. It's pretty awesome. I know another brother duo, and I know another wannabe duo.
Ray J Builder Buddies.
Like that's gonna happen.
Oh, it's happening.
Oh, is it?
You just don't know
I haven't
about
seen
it
it yet. Want to note we've also put this blocking in for the shower door so that you know, has something solid to mount to. If they want to do a glass door, that's important. And we're gonna put these on the wall. That's 1/2 inch backer board. Go behind the tile. Andy says, do not drop it on the liner. Because you could put a hole in it, right?
Yes.
And that's no bueno. Also on the bottom, we're not gonna put screws below the overflow point, which is here. You can see our screws are up high. There's this gap under the bottom of the backer board to the liner so water doesn't wick up into the backer board ever. So that's pretty important little detail there. We cut all of our backer board by using a utility knife to score it, and then we simply snapped it over a straight edge. Another good option is Hardie nippers, which we have a set of, but I forgot to bring to the job, or a grinder if you have a way to control the dust. I also stole this handy pencil string thing, and I'll never lose my pencil again. To fasten the backer board, we use these 1 5/8" zinc-coated backer on screws that have a serrated head that helps them drill in so the head sits flush.
Oh no.
3 in a row.
After all of our backer board was installed, it was time to start prepping for pouring the sloped pan that goes on top of the shower liner. We used a self-leveling laser to establish a level line around the perimeter of the shower, as well as to set the height of this adjustable drain so that the shower would actually drain properly. All right, I gotta say there's a lot of thinking involved to get the height of this thing right, because you gotta know the finished thickness of the tile going on here, and then the thickness of the tile going in the shower pan, and then the slope that you want from the edge to the drain, and a bunch of different things, and then do the math, or else this thing either won't drain, or water could run out, or just a slew of bad things could happen. So
yeah, your drain sticks out of the tile.
or your drains stick out of the tile, yeah. So, you know, we've probably been sitting here 15 minutes just thinking before doing.
Yeah.
Fiberglass, eh?
Yeah, a little fiberglass reinforcement there.
That's a good idea.
No. You want it wet to where when you reach down and grab a ball, it forms in a ball, but it's not squishy.
Andy starts the mud pan by compacting the 4-to-1 mix to our level line drawn on the wall. That will be a reference all the way around. Next, he starts working it down towards the drain, and we're shooting for a 1/4 inch of drop per foot here, and that's a pretty standard number for water to drain properly. If you've ever been in a tile shower that had puddles in it after you were done showering, someone didn't take their time doing this step right here. Andy took his time.
So I'm using this piece of tile here to check and make sure that what I've got going around this drain is the right thickness, that the tile will just taller than the drain all the way around.
It's also a good practice to use a larger aggregate around the weep holes of the drain flange.
So Jason's the king of like taking scrap materials and then figuring out something to do with it at his house. I'm thinking maybe he's gonna go like a squirrel slip and slide with this piece of rubber.
Maybe I just want this.
And finally, this shower is ready for the next couple steps to get it ready to lay tile. Next, we cover all of the screw holes and all of the seams in the Hardie backer with a layer of thin set. On the seams, we use a fiberglass mesh tape to help reinforce the joint. This will give us a much tighter seal before we do the next step of the process. Once the thin set has dried, we can then roll on 2 coats of this roll-on rubber membrane. This seals the backer and keeps water from ever penetrating. And this stuff rolls on blue, but dries green, so you know when it's dry.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
You have to play some slow jams to that.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Dude, you're making me weirded out.
Sorry, just 3 dudes in the shower. Ain't nothing weird about that.
Yeah, especially with your talk there, bum.
Yeah.
As an extra precaution, we also roll on 2 coats on the floor pan, which is not necessary with the rubber liner. And just like that, we actually have a shower that's ready to stick some tile on. But first, I take my time to figure out the best layout and positioning for this tile so that it's symmetrical and they don't have any small slivers on any of the sides. And we decide to go with a vertical orientation for this 1x2 tile with about a 3/16 grout joint. I could have gone smaller, but some of the tiles varied up to an 1/8 inch in width. I'm using a thin set with a polymer additive that's made for large tiles like I'm using. And in this case, I'm using a 3/8 by 1/4 inch notch trowel to put the mud on the back of the tiles and on the wall. To finish the edges of this shower, I'm using a Schluter strip instead of bullnose tile. And I actually like this look because I think it's cleaner with a more modern look. In this case, I actually topped out a couple of the rows of tile, slid the Schluter strip into the wet mud, leveled it, and then tacked it off, leaving a grout joint from the tile to the Schluter strip.
What's your favorite part about doing tile, Jay?
Nothing.
So we forgot the corner shelves.
Well, wait. We forgot the corner shelves? You mean you forgot the corner shelves?
So I'm using some spacers so we can keep going today. And we'll put those in later
That's a good idea.
since we forgot them.
Yeah, since we forgot them. One of my favorite part of doing tile, I get to clean out.
The next morning we got going by drilling this hole for the shower head with a diamond bit hole saw. And these are kind of tricky because they don't have a pilot bit, so you have to start by sinking the edge, still centering it where you want it to be. If you do it right, it looks good. For most of the straight cuts on our tile, we use this table saw style wet saw. It uses water and a diamond blade to cut through the tile while keeping the tile cool and the dust down.
What happened?
I gotta get this thing out of here to actually set it, but we cut the tiles too tight. What the heck?
Okay, again, we? You like speaking that French, don't you? We this, we that, we this, we that. I believe you cut those.
All right, well.
Look at that.
Saved it.
Next I got going with the floor tile, and I chose to do this last so that I didn't mess it up while sticking the wall tile. I start by going around the drain perfectly centered with one of these sheets. You have to use small tiles on the floor because they have to be able to follow the contour of the shower pan, which big tiles can't. And finally, last, this is finally it. I grout the shower, starting with the walls and then the floor. I didn't show, but the day before I used a matching grout caulk in all of the corners because that's the most likely place it could crack. There are many different kinds of grout you can buy, but I'm using a sanded grout that does not require a sealer to be put on after. After letting the grout haze up for a few minutes, I then wipe it down with this sponge, and I use a special sponge grout bucket. I don't know what the name of this thing is, but it works great because it will actually wring enough of the water out of the sponge so it doesn't ruin your grout, and you don't get it all over your hands. I wiped it down a total of 3 times using clean water each time to get this thing done and done and done. It's done, and it looks great. Thanks for watching our video today. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something in case you want to dive in and do your own tile shower. We'll see you guys next time.
I got a good video for today. Probably a video of me getting in my car and leaving. Tile sucks.